Red tide is continuing to affect our marine life. You've seen the massive fish kills, and earlier this week the FWC rescued this manatee near Sarasota and brought it to ZooTampa for life-saving care. And joining us now is Dr. Melissa Now, the Director of Animal Health with ZooTampa. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, how is that manatee doing?
The manatee is actually doing really well. She's settling into our medical pools really well. She's starting to eat already, and today she actually got to be introduced to a few of our other manatee patients.
So what kinds of issues is red tide causing for marine life in our area right now?
One of the biggest things that we see with red tide is, of course, the fish kills. But one of the things that maybe people don't think about as often is how it affects our manatees. And we actually see manatees have neurologic signs, so they can become unconscious, they can actually have seizures, and this becomes a huge problem for them because they have to be aware enough to come to the surface to take a breath. So unfortunately, when they get really heavily affected, they can actually drown.
Oh my, so that's the first time I've heard about seizures. So this is the 23rd manatee treated this year at the zoo's critical care center. That's got to be more than normal, right?
Yeah, we are having a big year. We've had a lot more manatees rescued and brought to our facility than we typically see by this time of year. And unfortunately, it's something that we're seeing across the state. So they've been keeping us busy not only with red tide cases, but also with boat strike cases. We see younger animals affected by a cold stress syndrome in the winter, and of course our orphan calves as well.
So, and a record number are dying. Is the red tide mostly what's causing these deaths, or just a combination of what you just mentioned?
The record number of deaths in the state of Florida is actually under investigation. It's very unusual, and it's been classified now as what we call an unusual mortality event. And there's a number of studies going on and investigations into what is causing this and what are all the factors that are involved in creating this unfortunate record number of deaths across the state.
Well, I know your goal is to release the rescue manatees once they're healthy enough, but with this red tide situation, are you having to release them in other locations? What are y'all doing?
We do always try to return the manatees to the habitat where they were rescued, gives them, back to the place where they're familiar with. And manatees actually learn a lot about where to go in the winter for food and where to go for the right temperature water. So we always try to return them to their same home. Unfortunately, with red tide, it does cause some problems sometimes, but typically what we can do is wait for the red tide to subside, and it does take some time, but eventually the red tide will go away and we can still return the manatees to where they came from.
So before we let you go, how can you tell if a manatee is injured or sick, and if you see one, what should you do?
Some of the things that might indicate to you that a manatee is in distress would be, number one, if it seems like it can't come up to get a breath. So manatees often come up in a very controlled and slow way, and they have very quiet breaths. You may not even notice that they're around you. If you see one having trouble coming up for a breath, if you see one coming up very frequently, like, more than one time in a minute, if you see any that are having trouble submerging or swimming, those are things that might indicate to you that the animal is injured or in distress. And if you see a rescued manatee, you should always call the FWC hotline and let them let you know what the next steps are. They'll handle any concerns and answer all of your questions, and they're a great resource, and they will get that manatee the help that it needs.
Yeah, we have to help them get through this. Thank you so much, Dr. Now, for joining us.
Absolutely.